If they're gonna cancel me, they're gonna cancel me. Listening to the rebels creep, slithering into different amphetamines like a centipede. I don't care. Go ahead, do it. Why are we gonna talk about it? You know why. This is the Randy Savagery Show. It's about the love. It's about the passion. I'm trying to make it through life, but this shit is tough. Every day we meet a different.
Yeah, and welcome to the Randy Savagery Show. But that was just presented by my boy Miitch Levy from the Shop Talk.
What's up, guys?
Yeah, and who we had today is my boy, the comedian, the ultimate Ryan. What up, brother?
What's up? What's up?
Ryan Brown, baby.
Appreciate you having me, man.
How are you?
I'm great, man. Great. How you doing?
I'm doing pretty good, dude.
All right.
So I was like holding stuff in because I didn't want to say it on the before we were here, but dude, you did 40 minutes?
Oh yeah. Yep.
Talk about it.
I mean, it was a good show. I was supposed to do 30. It was going well, so the guy was just like, keep going. But it was in Waterford, Michigan a few weeks ago.
Oh, was it at that spot?
Irish Tavern.
Oh, okay.
Okay. And
literally right next to my home.
Yep.
3 minutes.
And then I'm doing a couple of like co-headlining shows in Ohio next weekend. So
I love it.
That'll be 30, 35 minutes, I think.
So do you know the spots, like where you're gonna be there?
Yeah, I'm gonna be at Crackpot's Comedy in Massillon, Ohio, on Friday, and then the Funny Farm in Youngstown on Saturday.
Okay, and just also the date though. What's the date?
March 4th for this Friday at Crackpots, and March 5th for Funny Farm.
How do you like that for a plug, baby? That was organic, baby.
Yeah.
How you like that? Yeah. So I guess I want to get into your background, but I really wanted to get into the 40 minutes. Don't skip over it. Because, like, if you've done stand-up, if the people are watching at home, like, we know the more time is the more, like, that's the devil on the shoulder, right?
Yeah.
You doing 40 minutes is like an extreme professional long time. That's almost a special.
Right.
It might as well be a special.
Yeah.
Depending on how they chopped it up.
Yeah.
So, tell me, how was it? What was it like?
It was great, man. Like, it was like a showcase type of show. So there was 3 other comics that did pretty well, to kind of set the stage, and I was headlining the show. But yeah, it was in Waterford. I got them like right out the gate, and I was just going. Everything felt organic. It's like playful banter with some of the crowd and stuff like that. But it was fun, and the craziest thing is it felt like it was only like 20 minutes.
That's what I wanted to know.
It was,
really?
Yeah, it was going so well. So I kind of like looked. I was like, damn, I got close to the time, and I was like, you want me to keep? I was like, I can cut it right now. He's like, nah, keep going. And so, I did a couple more jokes, and I was like, I don't want to hold the people because, even good comedy, it can be too long. So it's like, I got out, but it was really good. I recorded it too. I got the video. I gotta clip it up, and I'll probably start putting some stuff out.
Because that's the thing. I mean, but you're doing so much work in the real world. Like, I haven't seen any of your stuff online. Like, you're like no clips, no special.
I don't post a lot. But I'll start because it's like that thing where especially because I'm still a new comic, man. Like, I'm people tell me I get booked a lot, but I don't feel like I get booked a lot. It doesn't feel like a lot to me.
Yeah.
So I'm just trying to. I take usually whatever people have to offer, and I reach out to places and stuff like that. But, I'm just trying to get booked and trying to get better. Every show that I have, it's like, I try not to get too high or too low on it. Because sometimes I'm like, oh, that was a terrible set. And people coming to me, I was like, no, it was good. And sometimes I think it was really good. And I'm listening to the tape and I was like, oh, I should have changed that. I did that part wrong. And so it's just, putting more stuff out there. I'm trying to add like a little more crowd work when I'm doing like even open mics and stuff like that, just because that stuff you can easily put out because it's not, you can't replicate that, so that's what I'm trying to do. I'm starting to record more though.
Yeah.
But I gotta, Gotta stop saying I'm gonna do stuff and just get it out there, man.
But that's what I was saying to like your. That's what I was saying. You do put a lot of real world work in, though. Yeah. You're actually at the clubs. You're there. You're doing it. You're booking it. And no, you're not capturing it for online yet. But I was gonna say, that's not necessarily that bad, because when you drop it all, you'll look way more professional if you have a special. You have a whole bunch of clips, rather than like a lot of people, including myself. Like I was like, I gotta be out there. Just start to drop it. It's like it's choppy and it gets better. Yeah. You're like building a better animatronic thing, you know?
Right, and it's like, cause I'm a perfectionist. So if it's not perfect, like if it's like, oh, I messed up this word or what, even if I still got the laugh, I'm like, I could do it better. So I record it again the next time, cause it's like you said, like if you put out a bunch of stuff, cause you're not gonna put out, you know, a whole 10-minute set or a whole 20 minutes or a whole 30-minute set, you know, every time, because there's going to be overlap and stuff like that. So a lot of times people won't watch, you know, 30 minutes, especially if it's not really good.
If it's not
they
special.
Don't know you.
Yes.
They're not going to watch 30 straight minutes of some random dude's comedy. So you got to, chop it up into 1 or 2 minute bits, but you don't know the order that people are going to watch it. So like you said, if you put out a bunch of stuff and it's like, oh, it progressively got better, then if they only see, you know, one of your earlier, worse things, they're not going to click on that next video that's like way better and the joke hit harder and stuff like that. But
I completely agree with that. That's why I'm like, when you do drop it, you'll look like way more of a professional. I think that what I've experienced overall, though, you're right, it's not as good, but when you do it that long chain way, and you do have is it no good? I'll put this in. Oh. When you do it that long chain way, people love to come up. It's kind of the Rocky story. You know what I mean? Like, because I got one video that's like 17,000. If you saw that and then you went over to like my first one, they get the Rocky feeling, you know?
Okay. Yeah, I get what you're saying. Yeah.
They'll leave in the comments, they're like, man, you really came, like, you were such trash. Like, you know? You know what I mean? But comics that are on like Gas Digital Network and like the comics that I'd say like that are part of Kill Tony and stuff, they did it what you're doing. Okay. Like they had a collective body of evidence and then put it out there online correctly. Right. Mine's like I didn't have a banner the first time and then I got a banner. Now I got this.
Right.
What I was gonna say is, what do you think? Have you thought about you still want to drop a whole special? You know that, right? Like like we do want to see a full 40 minutes, but those clips is what draws the newbies in.
Right.
How are you thinking about streaming yours? Because even people like Joe Rogan and the top people, they're talking about that, like how they stream it and how changing that. What do you think?
I mean, you mean like where to stream it?
Like, let's say you drop it a premiere on YouTube, you know, or let's say you pay a lot of money so you can get your special on Netflix. Yeah. Let's say that you want to be on, what is it called? Comedy Central. They have an online streaming platform. Okay. They also got TV.
Right.
What are you thinking?
I mean, I haven't thought about it because I don't have the material as far as how would I want to order it. Like I don't have the outline yet of how I would want a special to come out. Like I can do 40 minutes of jokes. I got more time. There was stuff that I have
40 minutes.
Yeah. There was stuff that I didn't get to when I was doing that shit. Like when I went back and watched, I was like, oh, I missed that tag. I didn't do this part. I could have added this part, you know, and stuff like that. So it's like, you know, I have the material, but as far as like putting it together and like, okay, what are the best parts, so I can, you know, like you want to get to 90 minutes and then whittle it down to 60 or even 30. So it's like that 30 should be nonstop laughing, like, you know, like, and there was some, like, I got to post the clip because there was a point when I did that show in Waterford where a lady was like so loud, like I thought she was like having a seizure or something. Like she was like, it was so, and that's a good feeling, man. It's a good feeling to be able to, you know, make people laugh, especially somewhere where you don't live, where it's not like a lot of people you know, so you're not, you know, it's genuine because they don't have a reason to lie. That's why I like comedy so much, because like if you do a contest and somebody brings a bunch of people, those people still won't laugh if you're not funny, you know, so they'll be there and they'll support you, which is great, but if you don't write the jokes right, if they're not well crafted, those people can't fake the laughs because it's an instinct. It's not
no cheating.
Yeah,
that's what you like about it. There's no cheating.
Yep.
And it doesn't matter who you are. That is why I love stand up specifically.
Yeah.
Because, like you said, even if you were Jerry Seinfeld, you got Jerry Seinfeld's face. Everyone's going crazy, right?
Yeah.
You got about 10 minutes max.
Yeah.
If you don't start bringing the jokes, we don't like you.
Yep.
Yeah, it's an exposer. It exposes your ability to be funny. How about that? But yeah. So you haven't really thought about where to stream.
Yeah, I haven't. I mean, like YouTube kind of makes sense.
YouTube's free.
Yeah, it's free. You know, it's gonna if it does well, you know, if it hits the right people, it can blow up. You know, and then because I'm at a point where comedy isn't, you know, my life. Like I don't need comedy to go great for me to be okay. So I don't have to be like, oh, I gotta take this terrible show or I gotta drive 4 hours for free and stuff like that. Like I can get better going to the good shows that are close, and then when I'm ready to branch out, when I go in to a place that I've never been, I can kick the door in, like, you know. So it's like it'll be like hey, we want to have this person back because you do so well. It's like, you know, if they don't know who you are and you can bring that type of energy, then that's a good thing to have in your back pocket, you know? Yeah,
for sure. So it seems to me like, regardless though, with comedy in your career, you like the physical world. Like that's where you want to build your roots and your foundation. How hard?
I mean, that's where I am. I don't necessarily like. I think it's like because if you start putting stuff out, there's nothing wrong with it. I'm not against it. It's just like the way, you know, you kind of think about it. If you're in comedy, it's like if you put stuff out, then you're putting your material out, and then people will see this material for free. So then why would they come see you in person? So you can't fill the seats. Like that's the kind of thing, you know. Like that's the fear.
So, all right, 100%, love it. So you know how like when we like go to open mics, we go. You're doing the same thing over and over. You're working one bit, right? At least I've seen you do that, and I've done that. Right. Where I'm like, if you went to my show yesterday, you'd be like, "That's the same shit." Like, I'm creating a bit. Right. I'm working out jokes. So, the biggest thing when you say like, you're afraid that they will take because they pay for that, right? And then they get free versions too. Yeah. So like with people like what's his name? Who was I watching? I was talking about this. Luis J. Gomez. Okay. The way he's a stand-up in New York. Yeah. He said that you're right. And that's why like no one should be allowed to record what you're doing. Right. And you know how you did like that 40 minutes, right? Yeah. I don't know how it was. I didn't watch it. Right. But theoretically, he's saying if you have one take, one killer time, that is your special. You do that as your one-time special. But you're right. Like Joe Rogan says, and then it's gone. Yeah. You can't do it ever again. Yeah. You have to now start working on your new one for sure. Yeah, because comedy's not like a movie or a song where people will come and watch the exact same thing. I don't know if I agree, but and over again. Like not like because they do. They do, but it's like if you look at like one of the big guys, like Ron White, you know, from he's one of the biggest who ever did it. Right. With the drink, the Scott. Yeah. And he has that story about getting thrown out of a bar. And that's like a 10-minute story, and he did it in multiple specials. But if he did an hour, there was 30 to 40 other minutes of new material every time. So he'll tell that story because that's what endears him to people, and people love that story, and he tells it really well. But that's one thing. He's still writing, you know, at least 60% of the new hour. It's new stuff. Yep. You know, so I get what you're saying. Like, if there's a great joke in there or a great story, you can keep telling that. But, the machine. Yeah. The machine. Yeah, exactly. It's that type of thing. Like, you can tell that story multiple times, and people want to hear that story. And it's still kind of whack too. And I agree. I feel you. Yeah. On the comic level. Yeah, but it's but then if you look at like a Dave Chappelle or somebody like that, like it's new stuff. Or even if the topic's the same, it's new material on that topic or something like that. Every year. See, if you ask me, Dave Chappelle is an example of the opposite. That's a real motherfucker. They're all different. They're all he never redoes that. He don't Ron White it. Yeah, exactly. And it's, you know,
it's what your essence is. Do you want to be, do you want to be that thing? Is everybody's idea of what a comedian is, or at least from if you're in the joke, most people just want to laugh. They don't care, like that's why, America's Funniest Home Videos or Wipeout. It's the same episode over and over again, but people watch it because that's funny. Like, it's the same thing with TikTok. The videos that always get a bunch of likes and stuff like that on any streaming service is because people like the same stuff, for the most part.
It's
now,
true.
you can copy and paste those things. You can copy and paste somebody getting hit in the balls, or a baby's first steps and stuff like that, and it's gonna draw that attention. But if you can keep churning out new jokes or new takes on ideas and stuff like that, that's why I like, because there's like hacky material. It's like, oh, you can't talk about airplanes or whatever. But if you got a genuinely new take on an airplane, on a flight or whatever, then it's fine,
Yeah, and especially because the zeitgeist is constantly changing. Like I'd say if you're gonna go make a how much it sucks COVID joke right now, like get off the stage. Like you better be be Einstein.
Yeah. Because everybody is like, oh, well, the COVID's stupid, the rules are stupid, and stuff like that. But
or the other way,
at the same time, those jokes will get you laughs in the comedy, like at a comedy show, in a comedy club, or at an open mic. They'll get you laughs, but it's it's the original takes and the original material that's gonna make people want to come out and see you, and then come out and see you again and again. And then, if it turns into anything more than just a comedy show, then that's just the benefit. But that's kind of how, like, people get TV shows and stuff like that. It's like, oh, well, they had this original take and this original. They're so original. Let's put a team of writers around them and create something, so it can be on a weekly basis. But it also doesn't take away from their stand-up. If you get a TV show, you're doing this thing, but it's not your set. So you can always still go and perform at a club and stuff like that. So
yeah, I think it takes away from your time.
Yeah.
As a writer, like that's every time I've seen any stand-ups talk about that, what they say, the hell of doing a movie, is like stand-up is fully free creativity. Mm-hmm. You're only ruled by the rules you made.
Right.
A movie's the exact opposite.
Yeah.
You're on set for months. But they get the millions, the hundreds of millions.
Like I said, that's the payoff, man. It's like, everything is give and take.
I kind of wanted to ask you. It's just interesting because obviously you're not going to know these parts because they come from you. But like you're the most talented out of all of the comedians that I know that are like the local sector. So your talent is way higher. So that being said, like you not putting material out online is a disservice to us who like you. So that's number one. So I wanted to ask, have you ever thought of like, because of how you seem like I need everything to be completely right, have you thought of like joining, like, are you going to join like Gas Digital Radio? Are you going to join like where they take care of you and they like they make your schedule for you and they do all of that?
I mean, I've never even heard of that.
I know, Gas Digital, it's interesting. Yeah. But there is, Kill Tony does it too.
Okay, but what's the premise? Like,
so for Kill Tony, I'll give you an example. There's a kid on there, he's an Asian kid that Tony, like he gets to, if he did the opens, 60 seconds, enough times, he loved them. Then he made it so he always gets to do the first 60 second.
Okay.
And then, like, what's his name? Red Band is like, hey, you want to do the spooky show? So first page show, $400, right? Then, if you did good there, you keep that every week. Okay. That's how they do their version there.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And then they would like put clips together and put them out on the Kill Tony social medias of you doing your set, and it's all perfect. Everything's, they only clip the best.
Right.
But and then Gas Digital Radio is it's a podcast network, but it's all basically stand-ups. Okay. So the Gas Digital part, that's what they take care of. Like they're like, all right, we give you an hour. They want you to do a podcast, and then they want like a lion's share of the podcast part, money. That's what they care about. Okay. But then you are friends with like 40 people on the network that all do stand up in New York, Chicago, like Royal Oak, even. A lot of big people go there, I've noticed.
Oh, yeah, like the Royal Oak Music Theater.
Yeah, I'm just curious of the reason I want to ask you that is because that stuff it takes a ton of time.
Yeah.
So it seems like maybe you're the type of guy that would want to join a network.
Yeah, no, I've definitely thought about like having at least not even I don't know if necessarily a network, but like having somebody that'll be like, all right, who can take everything I record and try to like clip it up and stuff like that. Because I've done it, like I've done some clips, but I'm like, man, this took me 2 hours to get a 45-second clip and throw in the subtitles and throw in like some effects and stuff like that. So if you have somebody that's it's like the auto plant. If you separate the duties, you can churn them out faster. Like
oh, I know.
Yeah,
I agree.
So if you got a team behind you, but I've never really looked into like who would I want, because it's like, now do I want that person to have the say so of like, all right, clip it up like this,
right?
And then put it out like this, put it out in this order or whatever. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if I'm in a point to where I could release that type of control.
I know, right?
Like that's the thing. Like I would love for somebody that I can be like, all right, yeah, I trust you. Clip it up, send it to me. But if it's just like, all right, here's the material, you clip it up and put it out how you think it's best. I'm like, if I don't have no say, then it's like, I'd rather do it myself or just take that time. But my problem is, I need more structure in my life. Like I need, like if I put aside the time to be like, okay, I'm gonna write, at this point, I'm gonna, go back and review these clips and cut them, because it's not that hard to do. Like I have some software, I can do it, but it's,
or you could write maybe a new 30 minutes.
Yeah, exactly. It's opportunity cost.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, if I'm doing this, I can't be doing that.
Exactly.
So yeah.
I just think, and I'm not like promoting for gas. They're badass, but like it just seems to me when I see you that I'm like, man, I wish someone was going for that like that way, because I'm like, I've seen you live, I've seen you kill Canton, like I see you just kill white crowds, just murder white crowds, dude.
Yeah.
And it's a disservice, I guess, to us. If not yourself, obviously yourself, you would get the money.
Well, yeah. But I mean, it's definitely like that's where I'm going with it. Like I'm recording way more like video of myself. I record audio every set, but I'm doing video way more. And it's, one, just to try to see, like, okay, is there something I can change? Like, whether it's an act out or something like that, something for the performance aspect of it. Like, is it, okay, this joke didn't hit. Sometimes it's because I think the writing isn't where it's supposed to be. But sometimes it's little stuff, like, if you pause a little longer or if you make eye contact, stuff like that, like, but again, that's like the perfectionist in me, like, whereas a lot of people are like, hey, you got laughs, you can put that out, type of thing. So.
But that's what I'm saying. You might, and that's why joining those things, you don't do any of the, like, because they're going to only, and then also, you would obviously be doing way better venues, because you're now connected to people that's all they're doing.
So that's what I was going to say. It's like, all right, you join a group like this, and it's a show they put on, so they're recording, they're doing all the production anyway. It's not like you just send them clips and they do whatever with it, but it's high quality production. That makes,
you don't have to do
a lot of sense.
That's what I'm saying. All the stuff that seems like you hate, you don't got to do that no more. But I think what you sacrifice is like probably money.
Yeah.
Because you're on Gas Digital.
Right.
So it's like the guy doing the Instagram for you, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like I get my Instagram analytics. If I get enough views or whatever, I get a check straight to me into my account. I think you'd have to get a check from Gas Digital.
Okay.
Is the difference.
I get what you're saying. Yeah.
But I just thought I'd bring it up because you should probably do something. You're too good.
Yeah.
You're too talented.
You
gotta get it.
You're not. People tell me stuff like that, like, oh, if you just keep going, it's, and I'm like, I guess I'm still in like the honeymoon phase where I just love doing it. I'm not really, it doesn't, like, don't get me wrong, I want to get paid. I think I'm good enough to get paid for kind of like, I'm headlining some shows, and I've only been doing comedy for 2 years. From what I hear, that's not very common.
It's supposed to be 10.
Especially for like headlining a show out of my state, where it's like,
I know
these guys don't have, they don't owe me anything. They don't see me regularly, but they've seen enough of me to be like, hey, yeah, you can come and, it's co-headlining, so it's not the 45 minutes to an hour, but it's still 35 minutes of, and then like that, I got that because I went and did 20 minutes and killed that 20 minutes, for 3 shows or whatever. So now you come back and you do 2 shows, co-headlining or whatever. So then the next time you come back, you can just headline on your own.
So do you think that you would go ever and try to do Kill Tony?
Yeah, that's the plan, especially because like I know Genevieve and Marcus.
Really?
Yeah. They were when I did the Ridley's contest, Genevieve was second, I was third, and then Marcus won the year before. So like I know them. I went and saw them when they were just here back in like January or something.
And they came up off of Kill Tony.
Yeah. I mean, well, they were big here, but I think Genevieve had a really strong set. Like one of her first times doing Kill Tony, and then she got stuff off of that, and now they live down there, so it's the same type of thing. Like you do this a bunch of times, and now you start running shows or always being on shows that are in those areas, and then you promote from there.
Yeah. The Kill Tony thing is, like, I think it's one of the most unique opportunities for any stand-up because, like, you get 60 seconds, right, to murder.
Mm-hmm.
Like, let's say you did go there, you got the opportunity, and you hit it one time as hard as possible. Like, that one moment, Red Band goes, you want to do the spooky show.
Yeah.
And that, like, that's crazy.
Yeah.
That's an insane thing. Because what it does, because I hate when I hear them say it takes 10 years. Maybe it did take 10 years.
Yeah.
But I just don't, obviously it doesn't have to.
Right. And it's 10 years because a lot of people, their first year or two, they're just going to open mics and trying to find, because a lot of that 10 years is just finding, your voice or whatever. And, or finding your persona in comedy. So like if you look at some people like and they act a certain way on stage, but then they get off stage and they're not that way, that's the persona on stage, So you got to kind of build that up. Me, I mean, I'm just the same person, Like I talk shit about my kids and stuff like that, but I do that in real life. I do that to their face.
It's funny.
So it's, and I feel like my comedy is just, I don't feel like it's the truth, but I feel like it's my truth. So when I say some stuff, it's like, this is just a crazy thought or whatever. It doesn't have to be, this is my belief and, I'm going to, but it's like, hey, this thought did pop into my head and I think it's funny and I think it's relatable. Like one of my first jokes was about and some people take things the wrong way or whatever, but it's like, context matters. And the context of a comedy show, it's like, all right, I don't really hate my kids. Of course not. But the idea that you're at a comedy show with me because we all collectively hate our kids, that's hilarious to me. Like that's, it's like, of course you don't. But if you're a good parent, you've had days where you're like, I can't believe this. Like my son broke his TV, and the story he told me, it's like, I'm like, dog, like it will make you want to murder a person. Cause he was like, yeah, I was picking my hair and then my pick fell and then my TV was broke. And I was like, what do you mean? It's like, well, I mean, you're not getting another TV, but I guess you'd just be sitting here in the dark. But
yeah,
it's just stuff like that. I'm like, I do feel like I have a lot of material, and it's just trying to turn it out and get it better and write it tighter.
I like, because you kind of touched on it, I kind of want to bring it up. You kind of talk, when you said that right there, about the offense that some people would take, right? Like if you were really talking about killing your kids, I think you kind of bring up the whole cancellation, censorship culture that's happening, dude. I mean, what do you think about that?
I don't know. I don't believe in cancel. I don't think people get canceled for real. I think people get forced to apologize. Like if you say something crazy, you're not allowed to tell somebody they can't be offended. Now, should they be offended? Oh, I don't know. Should they be offended for other groups and all of that? Probably not.
It gets a little weird.
But it's still their right to be offended, but I don't think people care. It's like, they'll be offended for a couple weeks, and then they're on to the next thing they're going to be offended about. But I don't think people really get canceled. A lot of times, if somebody loses a job or something, there's somebody that will come in because they got canceled and give them a better job making more money. They're not, I don't think that's really happening. And it's not new. When they talk about canceling, I think about people getting, like, we're talking about somebody saying or doing something you don't like, and then you trying to take their job. This is like extreme, but if you talk, they used to kill people for saying stuff they didn't like. That's canceling. You take somebody's life, that's canceling.
You weren't allowed to in America,
job.
You're not supposed to.
You said what?
In America, it was never allowed legally for the rules.
I mean, who you applying the rules to?
Well, freedom of speech, the Constitution. So I'm saying what they applied.
Well,
not what happened around.
You're talking about freedom of speech as far as freedom of speech is from governmental prosecution or whatever. So you can say whatever you want. It's not freedom of, it's like,
You're right.
Certain people can't say certain things. You can call your coworkers an idiot. You can't call your boss an idiot.
The social contract.
That's the same. Like that's stupid. So if it's like, oh well, I can't say the N-word. Yeah, you can't. Like, but it's not. It's not a. There's always been things you can't say or you're not supposed to say. It's like I got a wife. She calls her friend bitches all the time.
All day.
I don't call her friends bitches as much as I want to, but I don't. But that's the same. It's the same idea, If you, especially usually how it goes, and that's like in the book I read about comedy. It's the same thing. It's like if you're not in that group, you probably shouldn't be making jokes or whatever because it can be taken. It can't be. It doesn't have to come from a bad place, but it's easy to take it to that space. Like, oh, you're anti-Semitic or racist or misogynist, whatever the case might be. But like I said, I don't think people actually get canceled. I don't think that's a real thing. I think it's a lot of people saying, oh, well, we got to worry about this cancel culture. And, you talk, they're taking books out of schools. You talking about cancel. And this is,
that's cancel culture.
And that's what I'm saying. It's like, and these are facts. They don't want you to learn about facts.
Yeah.
That's much more than, hey, I told this dick joke and they won't let me say it. That's way worse than, they don't want you to tell facts. That's crazy.
All right, because I agree. So I agree with what you said about those things, like white guy saying N-word, like the classics. Yeah. We all know, social contract wise, right. You just broke the bounds.
Right.
But when it comes to other things, so here's an example of cancel culture to me. Like Brian Callen, stand-up comedian, a girl decided, she just to an editorial story, right? Not to a law. This was never brought up in the law. Told a story about how she was raped by him, right?
Okay.
And then that story was retweeted a bajillion times, right?
Right.
So Brian Callen lost over $30 million in contracts because of this story.
All right.
Right?
All right.
This story hasn't been proven in law.
Yeah.
These are how I believe, it's not like you could get completely canceled to death.
Right.
But they're canceling you by doing these vectors of attack.
Right. And that's what I'm saying. Now,
Chris D'Elia, same example.
The thing would be, is it true? I get what you're saying. It hasn't been proven by law, but is it true though? Like, I don't know the guy. I don't know the girl. But if it's not true, if it's not true, then, it should be like fire and brimstone for her. Like, but at the same time, if it's true, if this dude rapes somebody, I don't give a fuck what you take from him. Take everything.
True.
But just because she said it, then that's messed up. But I don't know if it's true or not.
Me and you don't know if it's true.
Right.
But we do know that the fact that we don't know and it didn't go to the law and he's not prosecuted.
Yeah.
I don't think he should get his stuff taken yet.
But that's the thing. But that's the thing. That's why if you look at any contracts with, whatever he might have had a contract with, that's why they have that language, because you gotta be beyond reproach with that stuff. They have the right to, even if it wasn't something like that, even if he did just say something, they have the right contractually to take away whatever they want.
Oh, they do.
It doesn't. So it doesn't matter, as far as is it fair or not. It's not fair, especially if it's not true. But as far as if they have the right to, yeah, they do.
All right, they definitely have the right because that's the market. I think I got a better example though. So obviously, like you said, no one can be canceled, right?
Yeah.
So Joe Rogan had a few people on, said some basically the opposite of what is the mainstream thoughts on COVID, right?
Yeah.
Leave it at that. That's what he did. And he wasn't allowed to do episodes for a while. They had to stop because of money lost to Spotify. And then they decided to do an apology.
Yeah. That's
all on him, psychological. I don't think anyone forced.
Right.
So that happens. He says sorry, things continue, and then resurfaces a video of him just saying all the N-words. Yeah. I mean, which way, this way, that way, and as you could take it, maybe.
Yeah.
And that to me is an example of cancel culture, of forced vectors of cancel culture.
Yeah, and they're gonna find, like, people are gonna find, but it's the same thing. It's like with that, all the N-word stuff and all of that. It's like I don't know if it's, not even the context, but I don't know if that's his heart. Like, oh yeah, I'm gonna say this because I didn't watch all of it.
He has a black daughter. I'll tell you that much.
I mean,
no one ever brings that up.
But I don't know. I mean, I get what you're saying, but that's kind of like the I have black friends thing. Like, it could be a
little bit different. When you take care of them that came from you and whatnot.
Well, yeah, you gotta take care of them because that's we get back to laws and stuff like that. But if you had a one night, like, I don't know the story. If you had a one night stand with a chick and
if you got $100 million,
yeah,
and you did that and you got your black baby, right?
Yeah.
And you decided to keep them and take care of them, you have $100 million. You don't have to take care of them that way.
Yeah,
that's the difference.
I get what you're saying. I don't know the dude, so it's not on me to try to defend him or whatever. I'm just saying he still has the show, right? They didn't take back that money.
Nope.
Right? So how is he canceled? That's what I'm saying.
All I'm saying is, there's a vector of attack of people together.
My issue is this isn't new. That's my thing.
It's not new.
It's not new, so it's never gonna. It's always been society, so it's not to be like. It's like when people say, "Oh, things are worse than they were before." It's not. It might be worse for you, or perception might be worse. It's just, but I don't think things are actually so much worse or whatever. I mean, than they used to be.
Anecdotally, I talk about the worst things you've ever. I should have been 10 times. I talk about abortion, rape, anything. I go all in.
Yeah.
So when I'm with you on, like, when I hear them say that kind of stuff, I'll be sitting and be like, I got 17,000 views on an abortion talk, so I don't know what you're talking about. Yeah. I don't agree. But I see I see that it is a collective. It's a fucking weapon. How about that?
Yeah.
It's a weapon hard with the internet.
But that's the thing. It's with the internet, but when you look at it, like, it's because it's media. So when there was no internet, it was the same thing with the newspapers and the news and stuff like that. Like, people are praise, every Martin Luther King Day, people are throwing out quotes and stuff like that, but they forget the parts where the newspaper was like, "Oh, he's a menace to society," and all of this. So it's the same thing, man. Like, all this dude was, he wanted to be able to sit on a bus, and if he got there first,
I mean, he got canceled all the way out.
But that's what I'm saying. So if we're talking about, like, that's my point. It's always been this thing. It's never gonna go anywhere. It's just the mechanism is different. And if you say some messed up shit, then maybe you should check yourself. Like, that's why, like, I talk about a lot of stuff in my comedy, but I try to do it in a way where it's clear that I'm not, misogynist or whatever. And I try to do it this is what I think a global thing is. This isn't just, oh, I'm some crazy psychopath. It's like, I talk to people. I talk to a lot of people. I listen to a lot of other comics, and you kind of get insights from the way they approach a topic. So it's like, you don't have to say the worst things and do the worst things to kind of tell a joke or whatever. But as far as canceling and all of that, I get what you're saying. I get that people, and it's the same, people troll the same way as far as canceling. Like, it's people that probably don't even really care. Yeah. But it's something to get behind, so they'll do it. Oh yeah. And now, I believe that for sure. But I also believe that it's like, oh, this is this big thing right now, and then in a couple weeks there'll be something else.
And I'm definitely gonna say right here that you re-enlightening me that it's always been around. I did forget that. Yeah. Like from the earliest of any type of political parties. And yeah. You're totally right. I guess the biggest difference is before, like, if you had a sexual assault charge when you're Jerry Springer in the 80s, nobody could talk about it except for people who owned $1 million companies.
Right. You got to have a newspaper. Now anybody could just be like,
and start a revolution off.
Right.
That's the difference.
And if it's true, I'm not gonna feel sorry for somebody that raped somebody. That's just me.
I mean, I don't feel sorry for the rape thing. But
I get what you're saying. Like, somebody can just say it and be wrong, and that's why.
This is what I think about with that one, though. Yeah. It's like Emmett Till, right? Yeah. Like Emmett Till didn't get to go to trial.
Right.
So to me, when you can start taking money out of their pockets before they ever get to trial, I guess I wish that it wasn't that way. That's the one part that
it shouldn't be that way. It shouldn't be.
That's
that
what
way.
I like.
And that's what I'm saying. If it comes to it that she was lying, then the worst possible thing should happen to her.
It never goes that way, though.
Well, I know it doesn't, but that's what I'm saying. But we're talking. I mean, it's not anecdotal because all of that stuff did happen to him. But that's why, like I said, you got to be beyond reproach. That's why, like, I don't mess, like, I don't even like kind of like flirt with people. And
I know.
Because I'm like, I don't want, it'll never be a woman, especially like comedy or whatever, that'll be like, oh yeah, Ryan, like, you a goddamn liar. Like, and I know there's 20 women in comedy that'll be like, what? No, like, they would go to war for me.
Yeah.
On some shit like that, just because I know I wouldn't, like, I don't even joke around like that.
I know.
But that's my point. You kind of got to be beyond reproach. If a lady wants to mess with you or something like that, she'll make it known. It's not a whole lot, that's got to go into it for you to kind of figure those things out.
You specifically are like, super fan. You're on tip. You don't do nothing wrong. But I'm curious. I'd love to like, if we could fast forward 5 years and you're worth $20 million and you're still the same guy and you're going through it because someone just lies.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Yeah. Like, that's the only, like, the fact that all that money that you're doing, they can start before you prove them.
And listen, I wrote a joke a while ago. I've never really done the joke, but it's about that idea that if you lie about something, the punishment should be worse than whatever you lied about. Like, that's kind of the idea of the joke. But I didn't work it out because it sounds too rough. But that's like the idea. So that's what I'm saying. Like, and I get what you mean. Like, yeah, if it comes out that she was lying, then she's not gonna lose $30 million, and he's not gonna get that $30 million back.
Yes,
I get that.
Even if she did 5 years of prison, she's never made that much money in her life.
Exactly. So it's but yeah, we're not big on restitution in this country. So I don't think people care about that. But it's like, I feel like if it was crazy, like no way possible, it would have been pretty easy. Like, if it was like, we've never been in the same room together,
and it wasn't that
type of thing.
It wasn't that.
Like, if there was like some shady stuff happened and you just haven't necessarily proved it, then it's like, and I think like I feel like there's got to be some sort of contractual thing where he can get a lawyer and be like, look, she's clearly lying. You can't, you got to pay me something out of it. It's just like when a coach signs a contract, they're supposed to get X amount of dollars, but if you get fired, you're not going to get all that money.
I mean, everything you said, it's all right, because, like you said, you ain't ever going into the room. Brian Callen had sex with this girl. He doesn't deny that. Right. And then that's why you said, that's why I live by the beyond reproach part. Exactly. So I kind of do.
It's like the Dave Chappelle fucking sex contract thing. Like, that's why they had that skit. Make them sign something that says, you know, it's not that difficult. It's not like that's gonna stop that from happening. If that's what you was gonna do, make them sign something real quick, and then you know.
Yeah. So what did you think about Dave Chappelle's last special, though? What did you think?
I mean, I liked it for the most part. It is, you know, but I also, it's the same thing. I can understand why people would be mad about it.
I don't.
But it's, you know, like, that's what I'm saying. My main thing was, I think Dave Chappelle is a genius comic in that he told you that the point was, why is it okay for all of these things to happen to black people and y'all don't take up this? Like, he was like, who was a little baby or whatever, killed the guy, and that's not enough for y'all to boycott him and kick him off of this and that. But he goes on a transgender or homophobic rant, and it's like, he can never work again. So killing a black dude is not worse than saying some messed up stuff about transgender. Like, that's the point I think he was trying to make. Again, I don't know.
That's the point.
Dave Chappelle, but that's what I thought. That's what I took from it. As a black dude, that's what I got a trans brother. But yeah, and I need to talk to him about it actually.
You should
see, but it's, you know, but I can understand why people would be mad, you know, because people can be mad about anything.
I know, but is it justified? That's the question. Do you believe it should be? I mean, that's, I guess, the question.
Are you single, man? You talking about making sense where there is no. Have you ever talked to a 2-year-old? It doesn't have to make sense. It just has to make sense to them. And that's, you know, so that's what I'm saying. Like, that's why I do comedy. I got tired of arguing with my kids, so I just go on stage and say what they said, and people laugh at it because it's insane. Some of the conversations I have with my kids and my wife, it's like I would have went insane for real. Like, if I just kept trying to reason with them, you can't. The way we think is not the same, so it can't be reasoned.
Yeah,
you know,
that is true.
It doesn't have to make. It can't make sense to you. The way you think and the way I think, or the way XYZ think, is never going to be the same. You know.
All right, I want to bring up this one. Do you remember in his when he was doing it, he did the space Jew joke?
Oh, yeah.
The space Jew joke, right?
Yeah.
I don't understand how you could in any way, and by the way, my friend is Jewish. He's my Jewish friend. He's one of my best friends, Jewish right here. I'm just putting that out so he can't cancel me. I don't understand
I have
how
Jewish friends.
That's why I'm here too. So he can say that.
I just want to, real quick, so the space Jew joke, its premise basically is like, he's talking about slavery. We're making this joke, right?
Yeah.
And then he's ending it with a lot of high profile, high talent people, their manager, so they get a big fat cut of what they do, are Jewish people.
Mm-hmm.
Why is that so offensive when it's a true fact? And it's not even mean.
Why is it? Again, I don't know. I just
didn't get how it's like.
I can't explain. Like, I don't know. I don't remember the joke like word for word. But again, you're talking about why somebody can get offended by something. In my mind, anybody can be offended for anything. Does it make sense to me? Nah, probably not. 99% of the time. But can they be? Are they allowed to be? Sure. You can be offended. Don't come to the next show. But to be like, and the dumbest thing to me about it is when they get on this high horse, like, oh, we should cancel these people or whatever. You're just driving. It's free marketing. It's dumb.
I know.
You should just never talk about it. And that's less people. Now your friends that are like, that don't care, their other Jewish friends are probably like, that's fucking hilarious. Now they're gonna go and watch it and tell them like, oh yeah, no, we're boycotting Dave Chappelle too. It's just like when Trump got elected and everybody was like, oh, well, how did he get elected? So many people said they weren't voting for Trump. Because we'll tell you whatever you want to shut you up and get you out of our face. And then we're going to go with our heart when nobody's looking. That's the American way, man. Like, you know, we live, everything has a filter and all of that. We live in a fake society, man. Like, everything is, you know, puffed up and, you know, like, that's what I said, like, when I watch TikTok and stuff like that, most of that stuff, everybody knows, like, well, most people, I think, know. Like, this isn't like, oh, we got this on the first take, or like, oh, this video, this just happened. Like, come on, man. Somebody sat in there, just like I said, me clipping a 45-second clip Took me 2 hours to do. That's the same thing with 90% of the TikTok stuff. It ain't nobody, oh, I made this shot magically. Like, come on, man. You was out there all day. I saw you, you know. But,
all day.
But we live in that fantasy world. Like, oh, this is amazing. And everything is amazing all the time. And, you know, but that's what people like. 30-second clips of the amazing thing. It don't matter that it took 6 hours to get that 30-second clip. Nobody cares about it.
Do you think that is an issue in our society in general, though? Like, the fact that the short attention span is getting worse and worse, and that is what they want. Maybe they've always wanted it, like you said, right? Yeah. But now they can get it. You think that's an issue?
I think the issue is that common sense is dead. I think that's the issue. And common sense is critical thinking. And we know how much people hate anything with the word critical in it. So, you know, it's like the whole critical race theory, all of that stuff. It's like people don't know what it is, but it sounds scary because it's critical and it's theory and we don't know what this means. So let's just not talk about it. Like that's how we live. Do people need to be distracted? Because otherwise, you see what happens when everybody was cooped up in the house.
We were out in the streets. Yeah. It was awesome. I did see what happened.
Yeah, it went, but that's what you get. You get that explosion when people get, you know, they get stir crazy. Shit gets crazy, you know, it gets wild. So you got to have all of these different outlets. And you got to have all of these different battles. That's what I'm saying. Like the whole cancellation thing. There's always going to be another thing. So nobody's really getting canceled.
You kind of changed my mind on the cancel thing. Yeah. When you brought up how it's always been around, and then you're right. Like. See, it's just some people get canceled so hard that they really do get canceled.
Right. And I'm not saying that it doesn't happen. And I'm not saying that it's right. But what I'm saying is it's never been right. It's never going to be right. It's never going to go away. So that's why when you get to those levels, you have to be, it sucks, but that comes with it. Like I don't make $20 million. If I make $20 million, I'm gonna do everything I can to protect that $20 million. But you get comfortable and stuff happens. You know, it's the same way with like, you know, All-Stars or, you know, like it's like the second contract thing where, you know, somebody's great at a sport and then once they get that super contract where they get all that money, they kind of fade, you know? Or like it's like the contract year thing. People are like, okay, my super contract is coming next year. So I'm gonna go balls to the wall and do my best until I get that contract. And then if my play falls off a little bit, it don't matter. So, you know, it's like you gotta protect yourself, man. That's the first. You can't assume everybody's out for your best interest.
Other way. I always.
Well, yeah.
Honestly, the other way is how I start.
That's kind of how I feel too, man. It's like, you know, that's the same thing. Like, why I can't really necessarily just be like, okay, yeah, I'll go and give somebody my comedy and have them clip it up and do this and that for me. Because I'm like, I would rather have the last say over it, you know.
Yeah.
But
no, I agree.
Yeah.
I think at the end of the day, well, at least with that, I guarantee you'll do it. You'll just make a decision on it, right? You'll see if you got 500 people in the crowd and nobody saw it online. You're start thinking, I gotta make some decision.
Yeah, exactly, exactly. And it's some stuff. I got a couple short clips out there that was like, you know, a couple years ago, and it's like, but I would never do this joke again or whatever. But I get what you're saying about like the come up there. It's like the same thing with when people do like the weight loss shit. It's like, oh yeah, it was. You know, they want to see the before and the after. But
it works.
But it's also some people that's like, all right, now you done lost the weight. I want to see when you gain that weight back again. Like,
that's why they're there. Yeah, but you're more like Sean T. You're trying to come up like Sean T, baby. Yeah, like you already got 100 people in the room. Everything's perfect.
Yeah. I mean, like I said, I am probably too much of a perfectionist. Sometimes you just got to go with your gut. If you think it's good, if you like it, you know, you can put it out. And, you know, redo it. You can still rework on it. You know, people will still come and see it. Like I said, I had more material anyway. Some of those jokes I've probably rewritten because that was, I think December or something like that when I did that. Because, what is it now? Yeah, February. It might have been the beginning of January when I did that show. But, you know, I got a couple 35-minute shows coming up. So that'll be more material, you know. And then I'm going to start doing some stuff probably this weekend.
What about what was I gonna say? Like would you ever do like In Living Color type of stuff? That you remember that show? Maybe you don't know that.
I mean, I remember the show, but you mean like just doing like sketches and stuff?
Yeah.
Now there is a sketch that I thought about doing just because I have the joke about it, but it's the same type of thing. Like, if it's not perfect, but it's not. I don't think it would be that complicated because I have this joke about how always like going hunting. And like when you go hunting, people wear like an orange vest, like over their camo or whatever. And it's like you wear the orange vest so like people know you're not a monster or whatever. Don't shoot you.
Yeah.
So I wrote this joke saying that's why I always wear a blazer when I'm in the suburbs. And I call it my camouflage, right? So it's like I do that joke, but like the sketch would just be like, oh, if I'm just like walking down the street in like regular clothes, I look like a monster. And it's like a lady looks like it's a monster coming. But then I put on my blazer and it's like, oh, that's a nice young man. Like, so like that's the idea for the sketch. But I never, like that. But that was just something that kind of came to me, and it was off of a joke I already had. I wouldn't be against anything like that. But it's not something that I'm like naturally. It's not something that I do regularly or whatever. But
definitely maybe a skit writer then.
Oh yeah,
that was fire.
Yeah, man. I thought about
fire.
I tried to. My problem is my mind is all over the place. So like for a couple weeks, I'll be like, oh, how can I, because like a good way, like if you want to write for like a show, like a late night show or something, the best way to do it is to just watch the show, see what kind of jokes they tell, and then go and kind of write your own jokes based off of those type of things. Like, okay, you take this headline, this is the joke they wrote, and then you write 50 jokes off of that headline, and then fucking just send it to them. What's the worst that can happen? Like, that's how you kind of get into. So when I was in that mindset, I was like, oh, shoot, you could do this, but I do kind of like think of like how my jokes would work as sketches. Like, but, that's why comedy is so cool, because it's like, you're doing acting. That's why they say so many comedians can easily kind of switch to acting, because when you're doing comedy, you're doing act outs. You might do some voices even if you don't do impressions necessarily. So you're kind of already in that groove. You're not afraid of, acting in front of strangers and stuff like that, because you do that every night. So
yeah, that's true.
I kind of get that, but yeah, it's like that camera. Like I've told that joke enough to where I'm not really worried about, oh, somebody might come and take it or whatever, But that's the main thing with like not putting stuff out.
Yeah.
That was like the big fear. It's like, oh, you don't want to post anything because, people steal shit. Like that's like the main rule in comedy, but people still do it.
People will always steal shit,
Yeah.
and also, I see that's something I think that's definitely changed in older years. It's way more acceptable to steal shit.
Yeah.
Like TikTok.
Yeah.
TikTok actually is only going to reward you for stealing shit and slightly changing it. If you do something completely original, they're like, oh, no.
Yeah. And it's like, because it's like, oh, a remix, or if you sample something, all of that stuff, those people are getting paid. There's a whole database for, okay, you can just go and be like, okay, I want to sample this. I'm going to, it costs this much money to sample this product. So, but you don't have it. Like you said, TikTok, it's the same thing. A lot of the big, like, funny stuff, it's like somebody's just acting out somebody's stand-up set, somebody's 2-minute clip from stand-up. And
someone who's huge.
And they're getting, that video's getting 2 million views. But the guy that wrote the comedy, and even though, TikTok at the bottom, it scrolls across like, this guy that you've never heard of wrote this joke, and they're just saying, like, it's like, hey, so that's like giving credit.
How you feel about that? That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying.
But that's what I'm saying. So you talk about not putting shit out. That's why. Because I'm not big enough to where people will get it from me first. If I put it out and somebody finds it and then they act it out, then it's like, oh, this other person that's, does TikTok all the time gets the revenue or whatever, exposure, whatever, off of that joke. But that's my joke. And if y'all don't go and look for me after hearing that joke, then I'm not getting shit for that.
It depends, because I just feel like every comedian goes through what you're saying right now. Every single one who's up there. And what they do is they do the opposite of what you do. They have all of those clips already. So when someone steals it, when a TikTok kid completely steals it, in the comments,
Yeah.
they insert themselves
Yeah.
with the date on stage and said, you fucking stole it.
Yep.
And people hate that guy. Once they find out, they're like,
Yeah,
They
yeah,
hate
and that's
it.
and I mean again, but technically that's also cancel culture. Like, and that person did steal
Stole
that,
though.
and right, so it's justifiable, but you're still canceling that person. Like that.
Stole.
I understand.
You are though, right? Yeah, you're right. I can see.
America was stolen. What the fuck?
Yeah, that is true.
Like, I mean, shit.
That is true. That is
We
true.
don't care about that for real. We,
Yeah,
but
that is
it's
a
that
weird part. That is weird.
yeah, it's justifying everything, man. So it's like I said, like I wouldn't argue with somebody that's like, oh, you said this and this was offensive. All right, well, I won't say it again, and then I might say it again.
Yeah.
They don't know, but I'll probably never see that person again. So
That's true too. Yeah.
who cares? Like it's not that big of a deal.
The bottom line is you're right. It ain't new. You can't stop it.
It's not.
It feels different with the fact that anyone can build and like try to bury you.
But that's better though. That's better
Is it
because
better?
it's better because
It is
if
better.
it's true, then yeah, some Joe Blow, if you fucking rape some random chick, she could be like, hey, you fucking did this. Whereas before, she would have had to have proof and all that. I mean, that's better. I'm for the truth. So if the dude did some foul or whatever, like you said, it's just like when you talk about comedians stealing shit. You stole a bitch's pussy. You should lose 30. You should lose more than that. You should lose more if that happened. Like I said, I don't know that story, but I'm just saying I'm all for the truth.
Yeah.
So, it's better that somebody that doesn't have stature can bring out the truth.
That's true.
I don't think that's a bad thing.
All right. We're about to wrap it up, man. But before we do, you want to do your plugs one more time?
Yeah. Massillon, Ohio, Crackpots Comedy this Friday, March 4th. 2 shows, I think 7 and 9. And then Funny Farm, March 5th in Youngstown, Ohio. 2 shows that night, too. Like 7 and 9 o'clock. Appreciate
You heard it.
man.
You heard it. And that's it, man. We're going to wrap it up. It's the end of the Randy Sanders Show.
Cut it.
Great job, man.
Hey, thank you.
Great fucking job, boys. You guys did a really good job, both of you guys.
Thank you, man.
You sounded excellent.
All right, that's good.